Welcome back to Man vs. Weed, the #1 super duper premium luxury brand craft cannabis review podcast. I'm your small batch, family owned, high THC host, Tango Hotel Charlie. If you're new to the show, it's an honest cannabis review podcast from the perspective of a longtime cannabis user, with 30 years experience in every aspect of the plant, from growing to concentrating to cooking and of course smoking. Just a quick update on the Northern Lights Autoflowers by Parkland, if anybody cares. Of the 5 seeds in the package, 2 were males, 2 turned into strange, stunted-looking things, and 1 turned out great. The strange 2 had the same regiment as the great one, so I'm not sure why they turned out that way. They also have a much more earthy, green smell to them. The good one, however, looks amazing. Big, fat, chunky buds that will be ready soon. They smell skunky and delicious. This week's sample is a concentrate in Qwest's Blendcraft line of products. Some Man vs. Weed context. I don't review extracts on this podcast for a couple of reasons. One being that you have no way of knowing the quality of the flowers that were used in the extraction. They could be floor sweepings, there could be powdery mildew, there could be bugs, any number of low-quality indicators, but you will never know, because you can't inspect any of that. When you stare at that lump of earwax-like concentrate, you're not getting the entire picture. The other reason is the ridiculous price of legal concentrates. In BC on the black market, we have access to award-winning concentrates at around $20 to $28 a gram. And that's for shatter. Crumble tends to be a little bit cheaper, with my local gray market shop selling it for 2 for $25. On the other hand, on the legal market, they're charging $50 to $80 a gram for shatter and $40 a gram for crumble. In my opinion, these prices are absolute robbery and should not be supported for any reason. So for those reasons, concentrates just weren't on my radar as something to review, despite the fact that dabs are my favorite way to use cannabis. Dabs are a way of getting concentrated medicine without combusting plant matter. High potency means I get to use less and it works instantly. Those are the things I look for with cannabis products. Who wants to have to smoke more often to get the desired effect? The only people that like those qualities are people that want to make money off it. Anyway, I decided to go for a drive and check out some of the 1,000 legal cannabis stores we have in Kamloops. They all have to carry the same legal products though, so I don't expect much. Private stores like to tell you that they have different products than the government stores, but it's all just different shades of gray. I decided to check out a store called Sun Cannabis. When I walked in, they didn't seem very friendly with me. Maybe they're a podcast listener. LOL. Anyway, they did their usual attempt to push pre-rolls and then just stood there with their hands in their pockets. Which is fine with me, because I don't want to hear from them anyways. I was trying to get a gram of a flower that was listed on their website, but, surprise, not in stock. So I looked at everything and nothing really looked great. I decided to browse the list of concentrates out of boredom. It was the usual list of $50 to $70 concentrates. But finally something stuck out to me like a sore thumb. And that was a Sativa wax by Blendcraft, a Qwest brand. When I saw it was listed at $28 for a gram, I couldn't believe it. I snatched it up right away and I left. I was impressed. Maybe one of these dickhead LPs were going to price their concentrates at a number that might actually compete with the black market. I was ready to do this review touting this remarkable achievement in the legal market. That is, until I sat down and started researching it. That was when my mood was ruined, like when someone comes to a joke tweet to make a serious comment. What I saw on the BC Cannabis website was the Blendcraft wax is $28 per half gram. My stomach dropped. Was I mistaken? Did I buy a half gram of wax for 28 fucking bucks? I grabbed the box it came in. 1 gram. Phew. Okay, I thought it looked like a gram. So then I thought, did I pay $70 fucking for a gram of wax? My stomach lurched again. I scrambled for the receipt. $28 for 1 gram of Sativa wax by Qwest Blendcraft. I don't know what happened. It wasn't on sale or anything, but that's what I paid. I don't know if it was an accident or what, but what was supposed to be a review about budget-priced legal concentrates turned out to be comically the opposite. But first, let's take a look at Qwest. Qwest has been around since the dawn of legalization. They're located here in BC in a town called Creston. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. When I was like 16 years old, my buddy and I hitchhiked there from the coast. It took us days of non-stop hitchhiking, sleeping in abandoned buses and cars along the way. When we got there, it was so depressing, I hit the highway and hitchhiked home the next day. Anyways, Qwest was bought by Westleaf. Westleaf is an LP based out of Saskatchewan. One of their early investors was Tilray, pumping $3 million into their war chest in exchange for stocks. But their largest shareholder is the Thunderchild First Nations. The Thunderchild chief, Delbert Wapas, was given a seat on the board of directors after the band invested $8 million into the LP. That money helped fund a $25 million facility on Thunderchild First Nations land. The 130,000 square foot facility was promoted by CEO Scott Hurd as providing around 150 jobs to surrounding First Nations communities. Westleaf also has a 64,000 square foot facility in Calgary, and a line of record store-style retail outlets across Western Canada called Prairie Records. These record stores have pieces of cardboard in the shape of record albums with marketing buzzwords on them. You can choose which buzzwords speak to you and then take that up to the front to someone who can unlock your purchase from a closed cabinet, which is all a cute way of saying you won't see, touch, or smell your cannabis before you purchase it. Qwest used to be owned by a company called We Grow. In 2019, they got bought by Westleaf. Qwest was marketing themselves as the #1 super premium luxury brand that was drawing customers away from the black market with high THC weed. CEO Scott Hurd said he went to 20 different dispensaries to find out which brands were the most popular, highest quality offerings on the legal market. And wouldn't you know it, his brand was #1 or top 3 in all of them. Isn't that amazing? Canada has over 1,000 legal shops. 20 shops is a whopping 2% of those. They were also quoted as saying that they believe through owning retail distribution, they get the best opportunity to control the consumer shopping experience. So basically, those 20 stores that they spoke to were their own stores that they were manipulating people to buy their own products through. So then they could turn around and market themselves as a premium, ultra-high-priced brand. Hurd said his vision for Qwest from the beginning was to target the super premium market and that stores have had a hard time keeping their products on the shelf with some of the highest prices in the Canadian legal market, with grams of flower coming in at over $20 a gram before taxes. It's fucking stupid. To help with the vision of selling cannabis at exorbitant premium prices, they hired ex-alcohol marketer Matthew Stockton as their head of marketing. His previous job included some of the highest-priced luxury liquor labels there are, like Johnnie Walker and Kettle One Vodka. He says the demand for premium products is there and will continue to grow. He then compares it to what he calls the premiumization in the wine and beer industries. That's right, he thinks craft whiskey and craft cannabis should be marketed and priced the same. We of course know that whiskey and cannabis are completely different and uncomparable in every way. But this is the latest angle. Make the consumer think they should pay more. As though $10 to $16 grams wasn't a premium price already. As though $10 shouldn't buy a craft gram. They want to charge you more for what you should already be getting. He then went on to complain about being called an LP and threw a shot at Aurora, saying he loathes being called an LP because it groups them with these other LPs, with billion-square-foot facilities wedged between an airport and a highway. This angle of selling themselves as small batch is comical. That Aurora facility he took shots at was 75,000 square feet, and the Thunderchild facility is 130,000 square feet. It also provides cannabis for the Qwest Blendcraft line, after being modified during rebranding. Yep, in 2020, Westleaf and We Grow became Decibel, and the shell game never ends. The Thunderchild facility is now licensed to move 9,000 kilograms of cannabis a year under the Qwest brand, with some of the highest prices on the Canadian legal market. You know, craft cannabis. So yeah, the actual wax. It came in a giant stupid cardboard box with a glass jar taped to the bottom of the inside. The date on the box says November 5th, 2020. At the time of recording, in August 2021, that's 9 months old. Which seems strange for a brand that is so difficult to keep on the shelves. It is a 1 gram sample with 74% THC and less than 1% CBD. It is a pale yellow color and is a grainy, butter-like texture. Less like wax and more like crumble. Its terps are present and hit the nose with a bright lemony citrus. It has a little bit of a sour, gassy note as well. I only dabbed this product all day before this review. It was my wake and bake, and I used it to medicate for the entire day. I did low-temperature dabs out of a clean glass rig with fresh, clean water. After I heat my nail up, I let it sit for about a minute and a half. Typically, high-quality concentrates taste great at this temperature. Unfortunately here, there was no flavor. As good as it smelled in the jar, I expected it to be tasty, but the flavor just wasn't there. For a super duper ultra premium connoisseur product, you would think it would be amazing for $65 a gram. But it was flavorless. I can't describe what isn't there. I found the dabs to be pretty harsh on the throat as well. During the day, I did fairly regular sized dabs, like a little chunk on the end of my dab tool. I found the high from that to be fairly underwhelming. That afternoon, I had a plumbing emergency, so in the evening I had a couple massive dabs, and that worked unsurprisingly better. But for super duper blah blah $64 a gram wax, it should knock my fucking dick in the dirt without having to smoke a half a gram in a day. When I finally did smoke enough, I found the high to be tingly and radiated from your head down to your torso. So, like I said, I was all excited to tell you all about a decent priced legal concentrate, and found out that was comically not the case. I guess the universe does work in mysterious ways because I wouldn't have bought it if not for that price. Only to find out that the company actually markets itself as the most expensive option. If that's not comedy, I don't know what is. You know, aside from not knowing what was used to make the concentrates, which wouldn't have been an issue if we didn't know what we already do about LP cannabis, if the price was $28 a gram, I'd be much more inclined to suggest this as an option in the legal market. But $65 a gram for crumble is straight up fucking greed. Since it's quote unquote sativa, they don't even have to tell you what strains are in it. It's the swamp water of concentrates. But don't tell them I said that, or they'll market that too, and then it'll be premiumized and they'll want you to pay more for it. Sorry, Qwest, I want to pay less for it. Maybe if you stopped being greedy parasites, you would be able to compete with the black market you're so jealous of. Until then, I'm going to have to avoid my favorite way to consume cannabis legally. Thanks for hanging out for another episode of Man vs. Weed. As always, if you would like to support the podcast, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell a friend who might also enjoy the podcast. Email me at manvsweedthc@gmail.com for any questions or inquiries, and follow me on Twitter at StreetVillain. And if you don't feel like doing any of that, just stay higher than your anxiety levels and free the weed.